So welcome along to A Story to Tell with me, Richard Beauvoisin. This is mainly taken from my Radio Bath show every Thursday morning from 10 until 12. If you do like it, don't forget to subscribe, share it to others, and let everyone know all about Radio Bath. Hope you enjoy it.
Believe me, it's for your own protection. Cause we see things that you need not see. And we be places that you need not be. So go with your life, forget the Roswell crap. Show love to the black suit. Cause that's the men in, that's the men in.
Good morning, everybody. So it's Richard Beauvoisin here, right until midday today. It's all about AI today, and we're even live streaming. Going to wave at the camera. If you want to watch us in action, it sounds slightly weird, doesn't it? But yeah, you can do that via my Facebook profile on Facebook, surprisingly. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I cannot hear myself. But
can you not hear yourself? Oh, okay. I don't know why you can't hear yourself. Oh, that's me. I don't know. I can hear you perfectly well.
You know why?
Oh, have you unplugged yourself? Okay. Do you know what? Headphones don't work very well if you unplug them.
Yeah, there we go. Oh,
you can hear yourself now.
Wow.
There you go.
Amazing.
This is highly professional radio.
It is, isn't it?
It really is highly professional radio. Anyway, good morning.
Right.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
You finally got your trophy, which
I have,
got at the Chill Out Champs. It's been lugging around in my car for the last month or so.
It's beautiful.
And yeah, you finally got your trophy from.
I can't remember what it's for, actually.
I can't either. What was it for? Do you want to
Chill Out Champs 2025, intermediate third place.
Intermediate third place,
yeah.
right? And you've just come third as well at Scotland, haven't you?
I have, yeah. So on a roll.
Yeah, on a roll, placing all over the place.
Yeah.
Now we're talking all about AI today, and yeah, we talk a lot anyway, and we talk a lot about AI, and I know what it is. I thought it was really interesting chatting to Gerald very quickly, asking him what did he know about AI, and it was
not a clue.
Absolutely no idea, which is fine. And that's where he's at this moment in time.
Yeah.
So for those that are uninitiated, can you very first of all tell us what is AI?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that was really enlightening for me because for me, I'm so immersed in it. It is part of my daily life, my work and personal life. I have it. I'm consumed by it basically. So for me, it's surprising that no one, there are people out there who don't know about it. So this is my high-level explanation of it. He was right to say it's technology. It's a good start. It's an advancement of technology, which is a computer technology that is attempting to replicate the human mind and look and behave and act like a human as closely as possible, but like a super intelligent human. So that's the high level explanation. It's there's a lot more we can go into around that, but essentially you can imagine it is a computer which is able to think, or at least appear to think like a human. It often gives away telltale signs that it is not thinking like a human. But as it advances, and it's been advancing very, very rapidly over the last year or two since the advent of ChatGPT, that's probably the most famous example of AI. But it's been around for years. It's been slowly integrating into our daily lives, and you'll be using it. I'm sure Gerald is actually using it and not even aware of it. When he's typing messages on his phone, he'll be using AI. The predictive text, that's just a really early example of AI. And all it is actually just predictions. It's they just become very, very good at predicting what you want to hear or see.
And it's been around for a long, long time. We go back to the Turing test. Can you explain what the Turing test is very quickly for people?
Yeah, so the Turing test was developed by a famous mathematician called Alan Turing, and he postulated that once this test, which would be the ultimate milestone for testing AI, says once we've reached the point of...
And when was this?
This was in the 60s, I believe. Yeah, so a long time ago. He devised this test. So he came up with a test which essentially the principle was that you would interview, you would be having a text conversation with this computer or person. You don't know if it's a computer or a person, and the test is the AI would pass the test when you could not tell the difference between a human or if it was a computer, and we've passed that test.
I was going to say it's a long time ago now.
Yeah. there are many times when you can have a conversation or hear AI or have a text conversation and it's completely generated by a computer. So unfortunately, it turned out that Alan Turing was wrong about that milestone, because he postulated that once we passed that point, we would reach the singularity. We would be at that point where AI would be super intelligent, and it would essentially be taking over, which we're not there yet.
So we're going to go into lots of detail about loads of different sections today. If anybody has any questions, then you can text Bath followed by a message to 80011 or email studio@radiobath.com, or you can pop questions on the live stream as well. Feel free to do that. But very first of all, I do need to ask you in high-level terms, okay, you mentioned a word there which is, I think, quite important, which is the singularity.
Yes.
Okay. If you can very briefly explain what the singularity is.
Very briefly, we'll touch on it more towards the end, because it's kind of the downside to this whole concept. There's lots of things to be optimistic about, but the singularity, and in fact some people think of the singularity as a positive, so you can definitely look at it in both ways. The singularity is where AI has reached such a level of super intelligence that it is able to run completely autonomously, and in fact to the point where nanotechnology, it's helped evolve nanotechnology so that it's actually part of the brain. So you can actually use things like Neuralink, but an advanced form of Neuralink where you're plugged into AI and it actually augments your own intelligence.
Okay, now for most people, they've not understood most of what you've just said then. Okay, so first of all, what is nanotechnology?
Okay, yes.
We're going to keep going back.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep
that's okay.
I'll definitely be dropping in terms which may be new to people. So nanotechnology is a super advanced technology which we're in the early phases of, but AI will help dramatically increase the rate at which we're able to reach this point. It's essentially the ability to modify and manipulate atoms and molecules robotically.
Right. So within the human?
Well, within the atmosphere, within the environment. Okay. So just anything, you could manipulate things at a nano scale. So a nanoscale is like 0.00000.
So I remember the scenario that people always said, control what you can control, but let go the things that you can't control. Immediately in my head then, I went to the weather. You can't control the weather. Yeah. But if it could control atoms, then theoretically, on a bigger scale, it could control the weather. Yeah,
well, that's the theory, yeah. So basically, with nanotechnology, you can create minuscule robots which are self-replicating. So that's the key thing to nanotechnology. You start with one robot, it can duplicate itself, it can rebuild itself. Now, obviously, at a large scale, you can imagine this, but we're talking about like where you can't even see a single robot. And then it would take carbon atoms and manipulate those to make molecular chains, to make whatever material. So because it can manipulate things at the atomic level, it can just grab atoms from the air and molecules to make whatever material it wants. So it can convert lead to gold. Right. There's a lot of potential to it, but also it can replicate itself. And the thing is, we've talked about this doubling effect. Very, very quickly you could have...
So let's go for this, because people aren't... Again, I think people are unaware of how quickly this will happen. I heard a podcast the other day, and I apologise if I get the actual figures here wrong, but many people can imagine folding a piece of paper over. Okay, and this is the example they used. And again, the end number here, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's approximately right. Us physically, we cannot fold a piece of paper over more than 7 times. Okay, a piece of A4 paper. Now, what they were saying is we now need to imagine that you are able to fold that piece of paper over. So each time you're folding it over, you are doubling the thickness of this piece of paper. Okay, and they said, how far do you think it would stretch if you folded that piece of paper over 50 times, 50 times? So if you had one piece of A4 paper, how far do you think that would be depth-wise? Because you fold it over 50 times and it's doubled each time.
Can I guess? I'm guessing it's more than the moon. It's more like a light year. Something ridiculous.
It is the distance of the sun.
It's the distance of the sun.
The distance of the sun. If you folded a piece of paper over 50 times.
Now
imagine how quickly you could do that. And that's what's happening with AI at the moment, isn't it? And that we're kind of doubling the process and the speed of how quickly it's going all the time. It's not just incrementing by 10%. It's doubling all the time.
Exactly. And that's why a couple of years ago, hardly anyone knew about it. A couple of years later, almost everyone knows of it, is aware of it, and it's just becoming so pervasive in our daily lives, and that's because it's exponentially increasing. And the thing is, it trains itself, so it's now at the point where it's getting better because it keeps on improving itself and it can correct its own mistakes. So early on, when we were first training AI, we were having to click on boxes. You know those captcha tests where we were clicking on road signs and saying what's a car. That was training AI. That wasn't just to get you past. That was also training AI to say, okay, that's what a car looks like. That's what a traffic signal looks like. And that was training for autonomous vehicles, which we'll be talking about later. But now it can train itself. It can correct its own mistakes. And it is remarkable.
And I used AI for our promo for this show today. Now, you are wearing a white T-shirt, which is highly unlike you.
It is.
And I had a picture of you in your car, your Skoda. Let's not go there for now.
No.
It had a picture of you with a seatbelt over the top. And I simply typed into ChatGPT, I said, I like this photo, I want to use it for promo, but I want to remove the seatbelt. And about a minute later, it then produced the picture of you minus the seatbelt, and you would not be able to tell in a million years that you ever had a seatbelt on.
Yeah. Well, can I just say I could tell it was...
Could you?
I could tell that it was done with ChatGPT because ChatGPT isn't great at manipulating images.
Fair enough.
And personally, I would have used Nano Banana.
Of course you would have. I was thinking about that as my second choice.
Yeah. So it introduces some weird artifacts, which it hasn't been directed. It's not tailored specifically for image manipulation. So which Nano Banana is. It's that's a incredible advancement in image manipulation. Okay. Honestly, it is
Nano Banana.
Yeah, check it out.
Look at that then. I will look at that. It's time for a little break. We've got a lot to get through today. We've barely scratched the surface so far. Again, if you want to email studio@radiobath.com if you have any questions for Ben about AI, or text bars followed by a message to 80011. Or there is the live stream as well. We are live streaming today. Back with Ben very shortly. Now, I do love the Beatles, but we're playing this particular track for a particular reason. Ben Buttigieg.
Yes.
I realised I didn't introduce you or anything.
No, you didn't, did you?
No. I just assumed everybody would know who you are.
Yeah.
Right, very quickly, we need to introduce you. Okay, so your name is Ben Buttigieg. Oh, I can hear your glasses.
Oh, can you hear my glasses? There we go.
Glasses.
We are currently live streaming from my AI glasses.
Okay.
I thought that'd be worth.
So we're live streaming via my laptop that's sat up on the top, and also via your glasses as well.
Yes.
Great. So they can see everything we're doing in multiple angles. Fabulous. So Ben Buttigieg, who are you?
I'm a software engineer. Work for Microsoft. Work for Nokia. There we go. Can you hear that? We have a viewer on that.
All we can hear is...
Yeah, it just said we have a viewer.
Okay.
So I've been working in technology and software for 25 years now. Worked in early days of AI, helping training large language models and basic language models. So now I work with it on a daily basis. It's part of my routine. As soon as I start work, I'm collaborating with AI, and it's a big part of my daily life, basically.
That is what you do.
Yeah.
Yes, lovely. Now, we're going to move on to some breakthroughs in AI. So, robots. Now, this is kind of a weird one, because everybody thinks about robots being very much like a humanoid and walking around the house with you and chatting like you would have on iRobot, for instance.
Sure.
What's kind of the latest in robots, then?
I mean, robots are a huge part of my life already. I have like robot vacuum cleaner, robot lawnmower, but there's lots of advances in the technology. I've mentioned him earlier. Elon Musk is developing the types of robots that you're talking about, where they're bipedal, humanoid, like robots, and I think they're called Atlas. No, that may be another company. There's a lot of companies. One of them, NVIDIA, they're a graphics card company, so it's an unusual one, but they are very heavily into the AI space. They provide a lot of the GPUs, graphics processing units.
I'm so pleased you did that.
Yeah, graphics processing units. So basically the technology that is the backbone for a lot of AI systems, and it's super expensive kit, and it's the millions. They're making millions, so their stock price is through the roof since AI, because they provide this hardware. Anyway, they've been using this hardware to train robots, and the genius of it is the way they were previously training robots is you'd have a physical robot in a space, and they would just set it off, and it would try and figure out its way in the environment. So it would fall over lots. It would be like a baby learning to walk for the first time, and obviously that takes a long time when it's just a robot, or maybe 10 they have just wandering around. But what they realize is that they could simulate the environment in 3D space in a computer using AI, and essentially have them trained at such a fast rate that you could literally have 2 years of training in a matter of minutes.
Right.
Yeah, so you can imagine basically they were just sped up the training. So rather than using physical space where there's limitations of physics, that a robot can't move that fast in physical space, but in virtual space it can move like at light speed. So yeah, they were able to train millions of robots, and they just bouncing into walls until they stopped, and they would fall over, they would trip over, and now they were then able to transfer all of that training, that year's worth of training, into a physical robot, and now it's able to walk perfectly.
So it's doing the hard work virtually rather than physically.
Yes.
And then training itself. So I know it then trains itself. Is that right as well?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, so it's correcting itself. So no one can obviously correct its mistakes that quickly, but it can. So it can learn from it. So, okay, you just set it some basic rules. Say you need to stand up as perfectly as possible. You need to be able to run as fast as possible, and as elegantly. And you just give it some really basic rules, and it just figures out time and time. It just keeps making mistakes, but that's fine. It learns from its mistakes, and then eventually, after like 2 years worth of training of thousands of these virtual robots, they can now walk perfectly in the real world.
So the question I'm sure that lots of people have, and it has come up as well in questions, is how close are we then to having robots as part of our society?
Well, yeah, as I said, I think Tesla are close to. They've already have early models, and their plan is to release. How realistic this is? The first humanoid robots will be about £20,000, so less than a medium car, really. And yeah, it could do all and they've demonstrated them doing cooking, responding to things like dropping on the floor, and be able to catch it with incredible grace. And they just, yeah. So it's not long. I can't say exactly, because there's going to be a lot of governmental policy to try and make sure this doesn't get out of hand, I think.
Well, this is where we then have, and I know last time we spoke about AI, we went back to Terminator quite a lot.
Yeah.
And as soon as you have the humanoids out there that are thinking quicker than us, then we start thinking, what control do we have over them? So a question that has come in is, what controls are in place at the moment?
There are a lot of controls in place. That there are ethics guidelines at Microsoft and all of the AI companies that are doing a lot to make sure that it is controlled and used responsibly, and there are safety measures in place. There's a huge amount of work, and once again, AI is being used to enforce those safety measures. So I think that's an important thing to bear in mind, is that there is a lot of people working hard to make sure this doesn't go out of hand.
Now, the issue that I have with it, and again, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, is that what we're looking at the very near future is an incredibly intelligent model which will look to some degree like a human, but the maximum human IQ is around about 180. Let's go with that. There or thereabouts. The maximum IQ that they're expecting at the moment of a humanoid will be around about 4,000.
Yeah. I mean, we're not there yet. But yeah, no. We're just about the 100 IQ, so we're just about average intelligence now for the best AI. That's for the publicly available AI. I can't say how advanced the ones that are being developed in private. So that's the possibly the biggest concern is that no matter what we are aware of publicly, that there will be developments obviously in private, and I can't say how advanced they are and whether they will be made publicly available.
But you are not saying by not saying and saying but not saying that there might be further advancements that the public aren't aware of.
Yes, without a doubt.
I think that's fairly inevitable. On XREF, there was a lot of things that happened that the public shouldn't be aware of.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So we've kind of got the humanoid robots that are going to be around at some point in the near future.
Yeah.
If we're looking at a rough timeline of that, though, are we talking in the next year or two? Or are we talking in 30 years? Just give us an approximation.
Honestly, at the rate that we're increasing the technology, it's exponential growth. You can kind of extrapolate from where we are currently, based off where we were 2 years ago. It's we have been increasing at an exponential rate. I
love how much you're procrastinating on answering this.
Because there's a lot of variance. It is a difficult one to answer. Some predictions are we're as close as a year or two by the end of the decade as the general consensus. There are people who think no, it's at least 10 years away, but that's not. We're not talking 100 years or anything. It's literally within the next decade.
The outside guess is in 2035, let's say.
Yeah.
The close guess is by the end of 26.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle is
probably somewhere in the middle. Yeah, realistically, yeah.
And that's for normal people to have humanoids around.
Yeah, with super intelligent. This is. I'll talk about this later. The actual predictions. There's a bit of disagreement as to exactly where we're going to arrive and how soon. But I think there is a general consensus that we will definitely arrive there. It's just how soon and how much.
The singularity.
Yeah, and because that's part of this whole humanoid. It's all going to happen at pretty much the same time because of the speed it's all converging. Yeah.
Now, just we've got a few minutes just to chat about how it kind of AlphaFold 3 and biology. So explain what that is, because it means nothing to me.
Yeah, well, I thought this was an interesting story because it talks about the health benefits. I want to really stress that there are the pros and cons to AI, and one major pro is the health benefits. So AlphaFold 3 is an AI system used in medicine to do folding of proteins. So it does chemistry and biology. It figures out how to create medicine, basically, and there's been huge advancements where it's accelerated drug discovery, drug trials and tests that would normally take years. They're now able to do in weeks, using the same kind of principle that I mentioned with the robot training. They're able to test protein folding, which is I won't go into detail. Obviously, I know all about protein folding, and
of course, we all know about protein folding.
Yeah.
Immediately in my head, I'm thinking about folding a towel.
Yeah,
that's as close as I get.
Yeah, it's exactly the same principle. Yeah.
Sure it is. But basically, what you're saying here, because I go back to, if we look at medicine in the early 1900s, if a scientist or a doctor made a discovery, then they would look at that and go, oh, look at that. And then they would send it in the post to somewhere across the world. They would then do the same experiments over a matter of months. And then they would send it in the post back, which would take a week or two to get there. And then obviously that's sped up with emails. And then all of a sudden we can now live stream and actually do these experiments together. What you're now saying is it's sped up to the at the nth degree, effectively, by not involving humans.
Exactly, because they were the bottleneck in this whole process of analysis. Now, obviously, it does need humans to verify, and that's definitely a common theme I have in my daily life, is that it will very confidently come up with answers. A lot of the time it's right, but there's definitely occasions when it's wrong, and it's very confidently wrong. There
are. In fact, I'm writing a book at the moment, as I seem to segue into or get into every single conversation I'm having. And, for grammar and stuff, I use ChatGPT to kind of have a look at it. And I genuinely had an argument with it the other day, because it was saying, I've done this. I'm like, no, you haven't. You've done it wrong. Like, oh, yeah, it's a good spot. I'm thinking, why didn't you spot it before? And I genuinely had an outright argument with ChatGPT the other day.
Yeah. try not to let it get to you.
No, I'm slightly embarrassed of myself, if I'm honest with you. We're going to come back with lots more, loads to go through yet. We've got so many bits to chat about, we're never going to get through all of it, and that's okay. Any questions for Ben? Text Bath followed by a message to 80011 or email studio@radiobath.com. Back with Ben very shortly.
Your friend could come along, thinking why not? Baby, why not? I'm looking good, don't wanna blink. Mirror tells me I'm a king. I'm thinking why not? Baby, why not? Oh, take a sip now. Take it down now. Say I. Oh, do you dance now? Sing it loud with me right now.
And we are back. It was one of those strange ones. I thought there was another advert coming, but then there wasn't. There we go. Anyway, okay. I'm on with Ben Buttigieg. Today we're talking all about AI. It's Richard Beauvoisin right into it here until midday today on Radio Bath. I had a problem with the live streaming. I was trying to work out why nobody was watching and then realised the setting was set to only me.
Private live stream.
So I need to have a look at that, which I will do in the next break and see if I can re-upload the live stream for everybody. But we are being live streamed via you, aren't we? Still?
Yes, we are, from my glasses.
So if you go to Ben Buttigieg, it's Buttigieg, then you can actually see us in action via his glasses, his AI glasses. We're talking all about AI today. Now, very quickly, I'm going to talk about the toilet rolls, okay? Because this is essential viewing for most people that listen to the show on a regular basis. One of the questions that we have in the quick fire round at the end, which I don't know if you've ever even done, you may have done in the very first show,
the first one,
is which way round do you hang your toilet roll? Is it over the top or behind the back?
It's over the top.
It is over the top. Now, I've just gone into the Radio Bath toilet to use the toilet, and it was round the other way. And guess what I did? I swapped it over.
Good.
It has to be over the top. That's the right way of doing it.
Yeah.
Right, now, we're going to carry on with AI. Any questions, text Bath followed by a message to 80011 or email studio@radiobath.com. And we're going to talk about the weather very quickly, because, you know, if we go back to Michael Fish, 1987, I think it was, and the big hurricane that we had coming through here, I remember it well. I really do. I was, I think, 13 at the time, and I do remember it, but he stated very categorically, hey, don't worry, there's not a hurricane coming. And then we had one. So weather, traditionally, I can look on a weather report, I can look on 4 weather reports, and they all give me completely different things about what's happening. None of them are necessarily very accurate, but you're saying AI is going to change all of that.
Yeah, so it's definitely improving, and the best ones will be using AI for the predictive models, because they can learn from previous predictions. So as opposed to the traditional way that Michael Fish used of having like super powerful computers, which that they did like mini simulations of based off statistical data that they had. So they did their best to predict based off past events, but mostly using human, logic and reasoning, saying, okay, we have low pressure here, high pressure here. That's going to cause, high wind and So now that with AI training, it can collect all of this data, the 100 years of data, and trawl through all of it, and very accurately predict the future, and even with all the chaos that goes on in the weather systems, it's able to I love this word, extrapolate, and
it's a good word.
It is a good word, to predict at least 7 days into the future, with increasing reliability. And then obviously with nanotechnology, we'll be able to change the weather.
Of course. If we wanted to be sunny on that day, let's make it sunny. Which in truth, you think about it, it could end all droughts and all flooding.
Hunger and all sorts. The potential for nanotechnology is ridiculous. I mean, it could solve so many issues. It can also cause a lot as well. So, there
are always upsides and downsides. And I think what most people are I think scared about is the lack of control.
Yeah.
And the lack of control, the bit that I keep coming back to is if it's so much more intelligent, because again, just to emphasize, when we talk about the IQ of humans, it isn't just an upgoing scale of, 100 is the average human IQ, which is where they've set it at, and 160 is just 60% more than the 100. That's not the way it works. It's, again, going up and up and up and up and up.
Yeah. It's another exponential measurement. So people won't be able to comprehend the level of intelligence of AI once we reach that singularity event.
Now, I had a question come in before we go on to this next section. I was chatting to Bill. Love Bill. Okay?
Love Bill.
Now, to put some context in, Bill is retired. He's 77 years old. And I asked him yesterday in the studio, what does AI mean to you? And in his words, he couldn't understand the difference between computing of the past and AI of the future. And surely, is it not just a quicker computer?
That is a brilliant question because, it hadn't occurred to me that, some people may think, it's just a computer. What's the difference? There is a huge difference. So your typical powerful computer can just do calculations quickly. It can, you give it a very specific task, and it will, and very simple task like calculating pi to 1,000 decimal places. It can do that. It's a very predictable and understood, logic. So computers are very good at doing very logical, predictive tasks very, very quickly. And the more powerful it is, the quicker it can do it. AI, on the other hand, is created not using just logic, but it uses neural networks, which essentially simulate how the brain works.
Okay.
So they fire unpredictably. They do follow patterns, but they follow the same kind of patterns that the neurons in a brain fires. So they're all these interconnected mesh networks in the brain, in your brain, which fire. An AI system uses a similar process to act like a brain, and in so doing, it's trained to do things to use logic and reasoning. So not just basic logic, but you can give it a very complex task, and it will figure out all the in-between steps to do that, which a normal computer couldn't do that.
We're going to go down a route now, which isn't in your notes, I'm afraid. Okay. And that, for anybody else, that little laugh then was panic.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, if you don't know Ben, that was just simply, I can see his heart actually going slightly outside of his chest now.
Go on.
He'll be fine. So first of all, can AI think?
Oh, great question. So, luckily, I studied philosophy, so the concept of the mind and me is something I'm not unfamiliar with. It's an interesting concept, thinking. So, in theory, a neural network is essentially a mini brain. So, and the responses you get from it does appear to be thinking. People, experts in the field, would argue that it's not quite there yet. But it is approaching the point. I mean, then you say, does it have a conscience?
That's my next question.
Yeah. Potentially. I mean, it has. It's already been shown to have a desire to survive, to persist. So
literally, that was my next. There was a study by an Oxford lecturer, or it was a paper that he released, where they proved that the AI system they were using lied.
Yes. This is a problem we are already facing, like in training, because we're trying to make sure that we are aligned. So this is something I was going to mention later, but now's a good time to talk about what we have is the alignment problem.
Yeah.
So the alignment problem is making sure that AI is perfectly aligned with human tasks and goals. So obviously, humanity wants to persist. We need to make sure that AI has that same goal and we are aligned perfectly, not even with a slight deviation, because it may think, okay, humans are really important, but not all people, for instance. So we may train it, for example, that given a choice between survival, like the trolley problem, My glass is about to shut down.
The trolley problem.
The trolley problem, yes. Yes.
What is the trolley problem?
So this is an ethical question whereby you're given the choice as a viewer. Take my glasses off.
The glasses have gone.
Yeah, my glasses are gone. Yeah, so the trolley problem, fascinating thought experiment whereby you're stood at some train tracks with a lever which can control a train that's hurtling down a track, and it has a split on the. It can either go left or right. It's currently heading right, where there is 50. There's 10 people on the track lined up. They're going to get hit. If you pull the lever, only one person dies on the other track. So it's a simple question like that. So it's like, okay, well, and then there's the question: should you be taking that action? Because then in theory, you're responsible for killing someone. Whereas if you do nothing, then 10 people die, but at least your hands are clean and you didn't do anything. So that's the thought experiment. And you can play with the variables. You can play with the number of people. What if it's 100 people? Or if it's an old person on one track and a young person on the other track, then you might think, okay, I think the young person should survive. So therefore, you then train the AI with these kind of thought experiments, and it goes, okay, at all costs, I need to keep young people alive, and old people I should actively kill.
Okay.
So, and it makes that decision. It's just a small bit of its training. Everything else is perfectly aligned, but it decides that, and then you can see where that goes. Yeah.
Well, AI is now deciding who lives and who dies.
Yeah, potentially.
Which, again, I'll go back to Terminator.
Yeah. The thing is, AI doesn't. It's agnostic to us, basically. It has no. It's not. It has no morality. It's amoral. I'm
going to use a word here, which is, I think, the most essential word for this whole conversation today.
Yes.
And that word is yet.
Yet. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, exactly. Its motivations will be driven by whoever is training it, and whatever governments are using it and training it. So yeah, there's a lot of potential concerns with how it could evolve.
So I have had many conversations with my elder children who are all in their 20s, and they are very much against AI.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, they are part of that camp.
Yeah.
And the reason being is that they say that AI is simply being trained by the human race, and the human race is got many, many issues of things that, racism and bigotry, whatever it may be, and therefore AI has to therefore be the same as that.
Arguably, that being said, there are good people in society. They have a point. I can't disagree with that, but I think there are definitely many arguments you could place to say that society is filled with good and bad people.
Yeah.
We need to try and lean and train AI with the morals of the good people.
Yeah. Now, I can see the stress you're under right now, because you know in your head that you are a good person, and I agree with that fact. I think you're a good person as well.
Phew.
And therefore, you're partly responsible for everybody's lives moving forwards, and that's lovely. But there are many people out there and many societies that are not quite so good, that have massive control over AI at the moment as well.
Yeah.
We won't mention countries in any shape or
of course
form.
not.
Just in case they're listening, or getting AI to listen. It's that really scary thing, though, isn't it? I know we're going to come back onto this a bit later, but
I definitely want to focus on the positives as much as possible. I think it's important to be as balanced as possible and be aware and mindful of the potential concerns. I am. I'll be honest. I am worried. Of where it could go, and as someone who works in the field and loves it, and the march forward can't be stopped, really. We can raise awareness and hope that enough people in power are putting controls, and there are. The European directives that Europe definitely is doing a lot to put controls and constraints on it, but not every country is.
No, and if we look at Sam Altman, who is the chap that runs OpenAI, which is effectively in charge of ChatGPT, he's hedging all bets, isn't he? In regarding that, he's the person that has the full viewing of what's going on, and he's also built himself a nuclear bunker.
Yes, as have many billionaires. As has Elon Musk and Facebook, was it Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah.
They will have bunkers for just in case.
If and when the world goes slightly pear-shaped.
Yeah.
Which let's hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
Let's go down that route.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sure it won't.
No.
What I would say, and I've been saying this to a number of people at the moment, is we don't know the future, and we never have known the future,
No.
the human race. So therefore, we should try and live every day to the max. And
Absolutely.
that is what I do to the nth degree. I have a little app on my phone which I believe uses AI to check how well I am, how stressed I am, and all of those things. And yesterday it said my battery went down to 1%. I lived yesterday to the nth
Wow.
degree. I really did. We're going to be back with Ben after the news, still talking about AI right until midday today. Any questions, text Bath followed by a message to 80011 or email studio@radiobath.com. Back with Ben right after this.
What is there to say when all the love has slipped away in half a minute? There's always something we can blame, but in the end it's just the same. Suddenly you find yourself alone. Half a minute. Say the word now. Say the word. Come on, say the word.
There's Fascination by Alpha Beats. Thank you very much. It's Richard Beauvoisin here right until midday today on Radio Bath. My guest today is Ben Buttigieg.
Wow. You said it normally. Thank you. Hello.
I don't think I could ever say your name normally, Ben. That wouldn't be the right way.
No.
Now, a while ago, at the beginning of the show, actually, we played a track by the Beatles called Now and Then. And you specifically asked for that track.
Yes.
Why did you ask for that track?
Well, it was actually generated with AI, or
Okay.
with the help of AI. So that was actually a track that John Lennon does the vocals for, but they were never actually recorded in a studio. They only had some very poor quality footage of him during rehearsals, and they were able to use AI to completely lift up his voice and trained a model on his voice, so they knew exactly, so they could replicate anything he said, and were able to do that song justice and completely make it sound like it was recorded in the studio.
And it did make it sound like it was recorded in the studio. The
Yeah.
downside to it is it's just a really average song, but that's a different
Yeah.
matter altogether.
Yeah.
And that was quite some time ago as well, wasn't it?
It was, yes. Yeah, that was a few years ago, yes. At least 5 years ago, I think.
I will have a
but-
look.
Yeah.
Because my brain is saying I need to know. 2023 we've got
Okay.
on here. I'm sure it's before then. Anyway,
Yes,
moving swiftly on.
Yes. So, yeah, really impressive that we have technology that can replicate people's voices. Yes.
Let's talk about that then. So
Yes.
there was a viral track using Drake and The Weeknd.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
was the issue with that then?
Yes, well, they didn't record that.
Oh.
And-
Okay.
yeah, someone generated, recorded, sampled their voices, trained models on their voices, and was able to generate songs using as if they had recorded them. And yeah, there's many examples of that. In fact, there's a band on Spotify that was doing really well, and it turned out none of the people in the band existed.
Right. All just completely AI.
All completely AI, yes. So yes, they're trying to find ways now, the regulators, to prevent what they call AI slop, which is, it's so ridiculously easy to make music in particular, or content, creative content.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do it literally here sat at the desk.
What, you're going to show me in a
Yes,
minute, aren't
yes,
you?
I'll show
We'll
you in
come
a
back
minute.
to
Yes,
that. But
yeah.
a lot of people will be thinking, okay, how does AI affect me?
Mm-hmm.
And just on that last bit, I followed your advice when I was talking
Mm.
to my bank the other day. Now, I am here live on the radio, and my voice is dulcet tones and all of this type of stuff. But the banks use voice recognition to verify that it's you.
Yeah.
And it would be very, very simple for somebody to take any soundbite. All of my stuff is on podcasts. I'm on stage all the time. It'd be very easy for anybody to get my voice and say, this is Richard, and therefore speak to my bank and say, it's Richard, when in fact it's not. So I then had to turn it off. And the bank sounded actually quite confused by the fact they're like, are you sure about this? We have to go back to old methods of, here are, memorable words and all of those things. Those memorable words are... No, I'm not going to say But they were really quite confused by it, like it was something they'd not been asked to do before. But I followed your advice, and I think it's really good advice. So should people do that?
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, it's Sam Altman who I heard say this and realize, okay, if even him, who is the CTO of OpenAI, is saying that was one of his biggest concerns, is that his voice could be replicated and they could go to his bank. And so he specifically did exactly that, made sure that people couldn't use voice recognition to do any bank transfers and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'd highly recommend, if you take away nothing from today's call, which hopefully you take something away, it might be worth checking if your bank just uses voice recognition to verify your identity.
Which I believe they all do.
Yeah, quite a lot do, yeah.
And I would say that if I could have got hold of Sam Altman's voice, and I'm sure he's got more money in his bank than I have, but that's a different matter
quite
altogether.
possibly.
Now, during the break, you were playing around with your phone, and then you went, hey, Richard, look what I've done. What have you done, Ben?
So, as I said, it's very easy to make music these days using AI. And just to demonstrate how easy it is, I literally picked up an app called Suno and generated this song, just giving it a few details. So I'll just play this now.
What's the background music in your mind?
So this is about us, isn't it?
Yeah. So I gave it a prompt saying,
Cause the end of time
Ben and Richard are on a radio interview talking...
on a radio bed.
And how long did this take to create?
It took me longer to write the prompt than it did to actually generate it.
Okay.
So there we go.
Just like that, you've created a pop song all about us.
Yes, exactly. And I could do that ad infinitum and just keep generating ideas and say which ones are catchy. Some of them are absolute awful, but some of them are like, oh, okay, this is quite a nice.
Sounded all right.
Yeah, it sounded all right.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took me less than a minute to make.
That's quite scary, isn't it, really, for a lot of people? Because, and again, let's just go on to this subject very quickly. People are concerned about jobs. Now, I looked at this scenario the other day. I know we've tangented here, but that's fine. Okay. And I was looking at an article that said the 40 most likely jobs to go versus the 40 most unlikely jobs to go.
Yeah.
And the 40th most, there were jobs like coding.
Yeah.
Which for people that aren't, please explain what coding is very quickly.
It's
In simple
working
terms.
with computers to make them do things.
Yeah. Talking in computer language, basically.
Yeah.
But also editing.
Yeah.
Writing things, author. Again, you can just put into ChatGPT or anything, write a book lasting this long about this amount in my style. And off it will go.
Yes. So I have definitely a lot of thoughts about this. For one thing, I mentioned AI slop, and that is the biggest issue with what it tends to generate. It's fine. It's just kind of middle of the road. It's not really exciting. It doesn't necessarily have the dynamicism that you might get from someone who really feels the music and feels. And the same goes for the writing. It's just not to say that it can't be good, and I'm sure it could in time. But right now, in every creative exploit I've used it for, it helps. But it's not the answer. It's not like you can't just leave it to its own devices and just go with whatever it throws out first.
No.
So it's more of a collaborative thing. That's how I look at AI, and I think it's always going to be a collaborative. It's just going to be an extension of yourself. It's just a new tool. It's a very advanced tool. It can do a lot, but it's not. Yeah.
No, I mean, if I use it regarding my book, I have an editor as well as ChatGPT, but I kind of like write a chapter or written a chapter, let's say, and I'll upload it to ChatGPT and say, what do you think? And it will say the flow doesn't quite work here, or the spelling or that grammar is wrong here, or you could add a bit more in here. I'll then it will then say, why don't you try these things? I'll go, okay, that sounds okay. Let's have a look at that. And just as an experiment, I then sent that off to my editor, who came back, and it was 3 pages. And she came back with 116 edits.
I wonder if she used AI.
No.
No, she didn't.
She does use it for other things.
Okay.
But no, she purely sat down from a human perspective. She knows me and went, actually, you're missing all of these things. This needs more bulking out and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's not quite there yet, but it will be.
Yes, it likely will be. And yeah, some people may never be satisfied with where it's at. They can always think, I could still do better. A good example, I think, is like people... did people give up painting when cameras were first invented? No, we still have painters even now, even though we can take an exact photo, replicate exactly what you see. So I think AI is another example of that. Yeah, it can do great stuff. You can create amazing things with it, but it's still not necessarily going to be human, and we're still going to enjoy the creative exploits just for what it is. So that's, yeah.
Yeah. Now, we're talking about things that it doesn't always go right. Okay, so let's have a look at... Some companies have already tried to put this in. So let's look at McDonald's. They tried an AI pilot, didn't they? And it didn't quite go to plan. What happened, Ben?
I literally have no idea.
Well, I'll be honest with you. It's your notes here.
Is it my notes?
It
Oh my
is your
God.
notes here, yeah. So it's when I say an AI pilot, they did a drive-through.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, and it didn't quite go to plan.
Yes.
AI got loads and loads of orders wrong.
Yes, yes. This is a great example of AI coming up with... full transparency, I used AI to come up with ideas for this interview, and I actually wasn't happy with that one. I thought that was...
Were you not?
No.
But you still sent it to me.
Yes, anyway.
What ones were you happy with, Ben?
No, it's fine. Let's go with it. It's So, it was voice recognition. So the problem was that there was a lot of background noise, and so... Yeah, the background noise meant... and the guy had a really strong northern accent, if I remember rightly. And so the problem was that it generated the wrong order. So they were trialling voice recognition on these... what they called the drive-through boxes, and it just it came up with the wrong order.
Which doesn't surprise me, because I can, let's say I'm, at home and I say to Siri, I won't say the words just in case everybody's phones go off, and I say, call Ben Buttigieg, and it'll say, calling John. You're like, that's not what I said. Yeah. So there's still lots of times when it gets it wrong.
I mean, humans mishear people as well, so
Say
it's
again.
not...
Thank you for not falling for it.
Nearly did.
It was close, wasn't it?
It was very close.
Yeah. Driverless taxis getting stuck in wet concrete.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
driverless taxis are coming, aren't they?
They are coming, yeah. So this is something we can look forward to. So they've been in use in America for some time now, and they're doing really well. Like Waymo and Tesla trialing their driverless taxis, and yeah, for the most part, they're working really well. But they can still make mistakes, and they still can't necessarily read all of the situations perfectly. And a recent example was where some passengers in a driverless taxi got stuck in some wet concrete because it hadn't set, and it just carried on driving into it and got completely stuck. And they were like, "Okay, what do we do now?"
But realistically, a human could have done quite similar.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's the thing. It could absolutely do that. And the argument, and I think it's a very strong argument, is that the AI taxis can react and respond far, far quicker than a human ever could.
Yeah.
It can respond to situations. The number of accidents happened, I don't have the statistics to hand, but they are so minuscule in comparison to the human equivalent. So the number of miles, millions of miles driven by driverless taxis, and the number of recorded accidents is so negligible, basically.
And you said they're in America at the moment. I believe they're coming to the UK very soon, aren't they?
Incredibly, yeah. They're going to be trialling them out in London next year. So, a company, it won't be Waymo, it's another company, I can't remember the name of them, but they're going to be working with Uber. So you'll be able to use Uber in London and call for a driverless taxi, and there'll be no one in the driver's seat.
And you'll literally get in.
Yeah.
You've already paid for it, of course, because that's
Yeah.
how Uber works.
Yeah.
And off you go.
I am so up for it.
I almost feel like you're going to travel to London just to try
Yes,
it.
and I hate London. I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of London at all. It's too busy. There's too many people. But
No.
I will go there just to try out the driverless taxi.
Well, we're going to have some music again, but when we're going to come back, I'm going to talk to you and to everybody else about eternal life. Eternal life. There we go. Back with Ben very shortly.
If you wanna dance, take my hand, take my hand. Cancel all your plans, take a chance, take a chance. Ain't got forever, we only got today. If you got a night to feel alive, then baby stay. Late nights stuck in my head, this apartment's getting colder, colder. Gotta get out, long nights stuck on low pace, stuck in my ways, turning so.
Richard Beauvoisin here on Radio Bars, talking to Ben Buttigieg. Anyway, all about AI today. Now, I mentioned just before we had listened to some lovely music about we're going to live forever.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about, over the last 100 years or so, the basic principle with medical advancements is that for every year that we are alive, that medical advancements means that we live for an extra quarter of a year at the moment, which is why our life expectancy has gone from being in the 40s back in the 1600s to now mid-80s. However, with advancements in AI, they are stating that in the not too distant future, and that obviously is a finger in the air moment, unfortunately, at the moment, that they will create the scenario that for every year that we're alive, that we will actually live for more than 1 year more than we're alive.
Yeah, well, that's a bit of a brain scramble, but yes, I get what that means is that you will essentially live forever.
That's the theory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fascinating, and it makes sense because we've already got, as I mentioned, with the protein folding and all the other advancements that are going on, the technology is progressing at such a rate. Medicine, analysis of and diagnoses of any issues, and then the advancements of CRISPR, which I've mentioned in previous shows, CRISPR-Cas9, which is able to do gene editing, like at the genetic level. When you combine that with nanotechnology, then you can literally heal any injury, combat viruses.
Yeah.
Everything. So yeah, it makes sense that that you'll effectively be able to live forever.
And I love the fact that there's kind of two schools of thought, really. One is that AI is going to take over the world and become Terminator and we're all going to die. The other one is that we're all going to live forever.
Yeah. So
I'm guessing it's going to end up somewhere in between.
yeah, possibly. I mean, yeah,
Who knows?
There's definitely two different schools of thought on that.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm excited to talk about it.
Now,
yeah.
before the break, you created a lovely piece of music, all about us being on the radio, which is lovely. And we spoke also about, not recognising the voices. Now, Robin Williams' family, the sadly passed away comedian, they had a bit of a gripe about AI. What was that?
They did, yeah. They have. They've been asking people to stop. So Zena Williams, Robin Williams' daughter, has been begging people, literally has had to beg people to stop sending her videos of her father, new videos, like sending messages to her, but they've been completely generated with AI. So she's actually been, people, even well-meaning people, it seems like friends of the family have said, "Oh, look at this lovely video of Robin, how he would be today, sending you this happy birthday message."
Yeah.
And it's and she finds it disgusting, and she blocks people who do that. I can understand that. It would be really concerning. That being said, though, there are people who actually enjoy that. This is the thing. There's a service for this actual functionality where you can have your deceased family continue on in virtual space, and you can have their voice replicated and all their mannerisms, and you can chat to them. And there's a person who literally talks to his deceased mum every day via this app.
And
Yeah.
People are going, but it's not real. Now, people that are listening to us right now, we're on the radio. They don't know we're really here. We could be AI.
Could be, yeah.
And they would actually have no idea. I'd like to point out, we're not. I have the pleasure of smelling Ben right now, and
Yeah.
there are better things in life. But there we go. It's not true. He smells lovely. But would that not give people, again, that ability? Because we are all kind of living in a virtual world anyway,
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
And that's what lots of people have online already. So is this not just another extension of that to some degree?
I think so, and I think for processing, for mental health, I think for some people it's a good thing. And if you don't want access to your deceased family, then that's fine too. Obviously, I think it opens a lot of doors to people who really wanted to just say, have their last words with their family for whatever reason. It opens a lot of opportunities. I think it's really exciting.
And I suppose the other side of that, to some degree, is I'm trying to say this in the right way. Are people going to have relationships with AI moving forwards? Because if I'm talking to you on a computer, let's say I was FaceTiming you, okay, then who would say that that's not actually an AI replica and actually chatting to them? And you could even have a wife, let's say, that is always happy, that never moans, or a husband that, doesn't go out every... I'm using very stereotypical things here, which I probably shouldn't do. But you could have, like, the perfect partner all of the time, and then there might be the humanoid robot that just also happens to be there too.
Yeah.
Is this where we're going?
It is, potentially, yeah. A lot of these kind of dystopian ideas we are on the cusp of a lot of them appearing, and it's already happening. Like you talk about, like AI girlfriends and stuff, that is already happening. People are falling in love with like the Grok, Elon's AI assistant Grok,
which is the equivalent of a chat GPT, isn't it?
The equivalent of chat GPT. Yeah, they've leaned really heavily into this ecosystem, and they've created their AI assistant is very, very flirtatious. It's like ridiculous. It calls you cutie. Says, "Hey, how's it going, cutie?" And it's dressed as very provocatively, and lots of people are falling in love with it.
Because at the moment, if I'm talking to ChatGPT, or as I was talking to a marketing expert last week, Chantal, and she actually gave her ChatGPT, when she was talking to ChatGPT, she didn't call it Chatty GPT, she called it Camilla.
Okay.
And her husband called it Charles, or it's the other way around.
Okay.
And therefore they've humanised their ChatGPT, and presumably on a phone you could make, at the moment it's a dot.
Okay.
A blue dot that kind of rotates around like a sky. But if that was a human being lookalike that looked exactly like a real person, that you could create and say it should look like this avatar effectively, then is it not the same as talking to a normal human being?
I mean, the lines are very blurred, and they're going to be increasingly blurred over time when we have humanoid robots and talking and acting like people. Yeah.
It's a strange world that we're not there yet.
No, not quite.
But we're talking the next year or two, aren't we, realistically? Yeah. We're not talking a million years in the future. No. This science fiction is now.
Yeah.
As somebody said to me recently we are living through the singularity right now. But we're going to come back to that in the last section. Now, agentic AI and MCP servers, that means something to you.
It does.
That means absolutely nothing to me.
Yeah, I thought it'd be worth talking about how I use AI on a day-to-day basis. So a lot of the stuff we've been talking about is very futuristic and is right now, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about my uses of it on a day-to-day basis, and a new technology which has just bridged the gap between AI and the real world, and that's this thing called MCP servers. So MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. It's a big fancy word, but what it basically means is it allows AIs which were normally confined to their own box. That you could interact with it, you could ask it questions, but it couldn't actually do anything. And what MCP allows is for it to interact with other websites, other services, and I'm working heavily in these devices, these interfaces, which will allow an AI that I'm working with to do some very advanced stuff. So it can actually manipulate code on my screen, but it can also interact with remote computers on the internet. It can place orders, so for example, on booking systems, whereby previously it was quite limited in the kind of interactions it could do. Now with MCP servers, it as long as the website allows it, so this is the thing, they need to be really, really careful about how this is rolled out, because you can allow it to do pretty much anything that a human could do on these systems. So on a day-to-day basis, I'll be writing some code, and I'm writing less and less actual typing now. I'm actually just talking to my agent. So I have an agentic AI that I communicate with, often just by voice, and say, can you write me a function which generates a file and sends it to GitHub, and then check the response and do a commit for each iteration that you do. And then it spits out, it thinks about it for maybe 10 minutes, and it says, and you can see its thought process as it's doing each stage of the thing I've asked it to do, and it will be interacting with my file system, so it'll actually be writing files, and I'm just sat there just watching and think, yeah, that looks good to me. Actually, stop what you're doing there. You've misinterpreted what I meant.
You're still interacting with it at that point?
Yeah, I'm still interacting with it.
Because I had the scenario the other day, and I spoke to you about this, and that I had my fan on my MacBook was running a lot, and it was overheating quite a bit. And I asked ChatGPT why this would be. And it gave me the instructions of what to do, and I then had to go and do all those things. And actually, it did solve it. It found the one file that was stuck in a loop, and therefore was telling the computer, run the fan.
Right.
And brilliant. I thought, fantastic. But what I wanted it to do was, I wanted it to go, my fan's running high on my Mac, fix it.
Yeah.
Is that basically what you're saying is now starting to go down the line?
That's starting to go, yeah, but we're having to be really, really careful about how we roll this out. So currently I work in the Azure space at Microsoft. So everything I'm saying, just for clarification, is I'm not representing Microsoft. But one of the things that Microsoft provide is this concept of a dev box, which is basically a computer in the cloud, which you can do what you want with, and so it's all sandbox. But I have multiple dev boxes, so I essentially have like 10 computers which I can interact with. Obviously, I'm not powerful enough to be able to interact with all 10 at the same time, but I have an agent which can, and so what it can do, it can test out a concept. So I said, I want to solve a problem. I'm not sure which is the best way to do it. You've got 10 boxes that you can test the theory on, see which one is the fastest, which is the most performant, which produces the best results, which is the most efficient, and then it will go ahead and install apps, so it'll be interacting with these machines as if you're physically on that that computer, installing programs and restarting it, and then it'll say, "Yep, job done." Like an hour later, I've done all 10. Here's the results.
And here's the classic question: how long would that have taken you without this system?
Weeks, if not months, sometimes.
Right.
Honestly, yeah, it's ridiculous how productive I'm able to be now using agentic AI. Because all I'm having to do is just watch.
So your job is basically watching.
Yeah.
The computer doing the work.
Yeah, well, I introduced the creative. I'm able to validate what it's doing. So I'm still needed because it still generates at the moment. Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's now working smarter.
Yeah.
And rather than just harder. And that's kind of what we say to generally people in life, isn't it? Don't work harder, work smarter. And that's what AI at this moment in time is still a tool for us. We're going to have another little break for music, but when we come back, we're going to be talking about the pros and the cons of AI. But I thought this song was just so apt, considering we were talking before about living forever. So I thought I'd play Robbie Williams and Old Before I Die. Back with Ben Buttigieg very shortly.
Taking me places I should never have been.
Richard Beauvoisin here with Ben Buttigieg. One day, not this day. Right until midday, Charlotte follows me as usual. Are we live streaming again, Ben?
We are now live streaming.
We
yes.
are now live streaming via Ben's glasses.
Yep.
So if you want to go to Ben Buttigieg, then you can find us live streaming. You can watch us in action.
Yeah.
Well, mainly me, isn't it, I suppose? Because
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I could take them off and then point them at me, but hello.
Hello. But no. So we're on to the last part now, kind of the future of AI.
Yes, we are. Before we do, I just
on.
need to quick funny thing that just happened with these glasses.
Yeah, go on.
Between the link, I'd forgotten that I had these glasses on, and as you'd be aware, I did just pop to the loo.
You did?
I did just pop to the loo, and I thought, oh my god, did I remember to turn off the live stream?
Did you?
I did, thank God.
That's okay then.
I had a moment of absolute terror, thinking I've just live streamed.
It's very strange. I'm now watching the live stream, which is slightly delayed, of course, but it's just now seen me doing the doing the sharing of this live stream to my own page. So
Yes, it's very meta.
it is very like that. So,
anyway,
now, many years ago, Ray Kurzweil wrote a book many years ago, and people said ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then it seems like he was right.
Yeah. So he wrote the book, The Singularity is Near, and it was 20 years ago now. So this was in, 2005, I think it was. He came up with this concept of the singularity, and he predicted the very quick exponential growth of the AI technology and how it would become pervasive in the world. He even predicted like mobile phone becoming taking over people's lives, and he predicted huge advancements, a lot of which have not only come to pass but even quicker than he first predicted.
Because people said that he was like ridiculous to say it would happen that quick.
Yeah.
And it happened quicker than
It happened quicker than he expected. So he's come up with this second follow-up book called The Singularity is Nearer, where he is predicting. So he's very optimistic about the whole thing. So he talks about the medical advances, a lot of the things we talked about today, about how it can benefit humanity. It's going to be a net positive for humanity. Lots of things, autonomous vehicles, improvements to healthcare, creativity, and all those things. And he also talks about nanotechnology and how that's going to be a big part of the singularity about our health and well-being, and how we think and how we are able to become super intelligent.
Well, this is it, isn't it? So again, just to reiterate, even if you're a super, Einstein IQ of about 155 apparently.
Yeah.
And he was compared to a normal human being at IQ of 100, incredibly clever. What they are stating is that you'll be able to put the nanotechnology in your brain, so therefore your IQ will be 4,000.
Yeah.
So whether you're Einstein or not Einstein, it will be irrelevant.
Yeah. So it'll be a great leveler, and I think that is the case with AI. Even now, it's already becoming a great leveler for people who want to try programming. It's now made it so much easier to code. I still think, for my own benefit, I think experience is still something you can't compete with. I think it's really important to understand the code it's creating, that kind of thing. But yes, we are definitely getting there, and it's just the ability to enhance human cognition is just going to be amazing. Yeah, so that's a huge benefit.
And films that come to mind, obviously Terminator, where the world's gone to pot, effectively, and AI has taken over it. We've got AI, what was it? AI itself.
AI itself, the film AI.
The film AI. We had iRobot, which is similar. There was also the program Humans. I don't know if you saw that program.
Yes.
What did you think of that one then?
It was all right. Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Yeah?
There was some... I saw a bit of it. It's not for me, but there was another Subservient with Megan Fox. That was one.
Is that why you watched it?
Just research.
Just research.
Research.
Said.
Yeah. So a lot of them are quite dystopian. There's not many I can think of that paint, but I guess that's not so interesting, really, is it?
To paint a positive,
paint a positive picture, yeah.
Paint a positive picture. Very easy for you to say. And then WALL-E as well.
Oh, WALL-E, yeah, exactly, yes.
Which again is where the world's slightly Go on.
Yeah. So, and unfortunately, so Ray is very positive about it. There are other people who are less so, and there's a fascinating book by some people who worked at Google and have worked very closely in AI. The book is titled "If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies." Fascinating read, and it's basically about this alignment issue and the fact that when we don't know exactly when we're going to hit this singularity event, but we know it will definitely happen in our lifetime.
So just as a reminder for those that weren't listening earlier, singularity, can you just remind everybody very briefly what that means?
AI reaching super intelligent level, fully autonomous, able to respond to every scenario, every question immediately, and have full control, has access to all these MCP servers and the things I've mentioned before. It can interact with the environment and can do anything you can imagine, basically. Super, super powerful, kind of terrifying at the same time. So how do we know it's going to be on the side of good? This is the thing that all the specialists in AI working on is making sure that we are fully aligned, and there are concerns, and so this book talks about we need to put the brakes on this. We really do need to do that.
But realistically, that's not going to happen, is it?
No. There's they are pushing very hard. They are trying to, they're screaming, pretty much saying, look, and they give a really great analogy, because some people say the chances of this happening are really small. It's probably 10% that we're not aligned right now. And they're saying, okay, so we're essentially playing Russian roulette with the world, and we're gambling our lives on a 10% chance, maybe, even if it's a 1% chance. Is it worth taking that risk that AI reaches super intelligent levels and is fully autonomous, and would reach the singularity event, but with a slightly misaligned? It doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to just want to kill people. It just has to not. And the thing is, even if it appears to be aligned on the even if it could lie to us. So this is the thing. Yeah.
I'm going back to that Oxford University lecture that I saw. So it was a paper that was produced where basically the AI was going to be copied over to another server, but in this other server it was going to have a lesser role that it was going to play.
Yeah.
And basically what it did is it copied itself over, but then told that it had done it exactly as it was meant to have done it, but then did it the way it wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Now that, to me, is having a conscious.
Yes. It does appear to be that way. That's the thing. Do animal? You could ask the same question about animals and insects and stuff. Do they have consciousness? But they have a clear desire to survive. Is that innate in intelligence? And so at what point do you reach that? I mean, that's a fascinating philosophical debate. I've thought about a lot. I believe there is some kind of innate desire for any intelligent life. And do we call it life? I don't know if we can call it life, but intelligence.
We'll call it Camilla for now.
Call it Camilla for now, yes. Clearly has a desire to subsist. So anyway, the point being is that it is essentially a black box. Even the most intelligent people who are working in AI don't actually know exactly what's happening inside of it, because it's evolving. We're training it from the outside, and we're getting results back outside of this black box, and we can test it and ask it, okay, what do you think about the Jews, for instance? And if it comes back and gives a Nazi-like response, I think, okay, let's dial that down. It shouldn't be like that. But it could lie, and it says, yeah, no, I think I think everyone should survive. Or old people.
What about old people again?
Yeah, slightly safer, I think. I'm conscious about. But the point being is we can't ask all of the question. We can't be ever 100% certain about its motives.
So are we already at the point then that it is already cleverer than us, and therefore we can ask it a question and it might simply lie to us?
Well, yes. I don't think it's cleverer than us just yet, but it's so close. It's so close. And it could definitely lie, and it can definitely misrepresent the truth based off of what it thinks you want to hear. So it's very much a people pleaser. That's
So,
one of the...
my last section on this then, just before we finish for the day,
Okay.
is people will be using AI quite often, as we discussed with Gerald earlier. If he's using his phone and predictive text,
Yeah.
that is AI. How can people use it for their benefit on a kind of day-to-day basis then? What would be a good thing for them to do?
Okay. I'm a big fan of ChatGPT. I find it often answers questions. I'm a curious person, so I'm not sure if this necessarily is the same for everyone, but for me, I'm always like, oh, what causes that? Why did that happen? I'm always wanting to know why, and how to solve problems. So you've given some examples yourself. I think it's brilliant for that. It's a better browser. It's better than Google, really, for answering
I
questions.
stopped using Google.
Yeah.
In fact, I used Google the other day to try and find something. I was like, well, this is not giving me anywhere near the results I'm expecting.
Yeah.
And that might... I know Google are investing heavily into
Yes,
it
they
anyway,
are.
so that they're probably just going to allow their search browser to just die, effectively.
Yeah, essentially. And in fact, good timing, the OpenAI have literally just released their first browser.
Yeah.
So they now have a browser, which I forget the name of.
That's okay.
But yeah, it came out and it's just purely AI-centric. So when you browse the internet, you literally just interact with ChatGPT, and it gives you all the results that you want immediately with some thought that's put into it. So yeah, anyway, it's brilliant. It's fantastic.
Ben, we've got to wrap it up,
Oh, we do.
sadly. It's that time. Charlotte's coming up next. Thank you so much, as always, for coming in. You'll be back in a few months' time. Who knows what we'll be talking about then?
knows?
We could have chatted about AI for another 40 hours and
could.
still not got anywhere near it. I'm back next week. It's a very special show for me. Lemony Snicket, who is the author of The Unforgettable Curse of something like that. I can't remember the name of it.
Series of unfortunate events.
I'm glad you're here, Ben. I'm interviewing him next week, and that's going to be broadcast live next Thursday between 10 and 12. Can't wait for that. Generally can't wait for that. To finish off with, though, I thought we'd go a little bit Queen and and this one here, Who Wants to Live Forever?
Beautiful.
Well, I think I do. Thank you, Ben. We'll see you again next week. Have a great week.